Landmarks. 1-minute poses. First pose. So here I'm going to try to use mostly just straight lines. I'm thinking of the torso as a 3D box. That really makes it easier to demonstrate that we're seeing a little bit of her side and also the chest. I'm identifying the collarbone and the sternum. The sternum is going to give me the center of the chest where that is. We also see the midsection in a pose like this. For every pose, we're always going to be looking at, where is the squash and where is the stretch. Here we have the trunk of the body that is facing us. So I'm going to start right away thinking about the rib cage, the collarbone, finding the center line, which is the middle of the collarbone. We have the tilt of the head that's going towards my right. I'm looking at her. And we really want to simplify the hands and the feet. Here she is leaning forward, and so we can view her we see the front and we see a bit of her side. So there's a bit of perspective here. We also have quite a bit of foreshortening in different areas. Looking here at how I've positioned the rib cage and the pelvis is kind of leaning more forward. The rib cage is going up a bit, so a little bit as if it was going back, if you compared it to the pelvis. Okay, thinking about simple forms, so rib cage, midsection, pelvis. The rib cage here I've done an egg shape, but it could still be a box. I'm trying to keep as many straight lines as possible. We again have foreshortening happening. In this pose, we don't see much of the neck. I end up elongating the neck. And why that happens sometimes is because the brain can make these automatic corrections. We know that a neck, looks longer than what we see right here. And also, you'll see that the torso that I drew could be a bit lower. And so if this was a longer study, I would spot the error and correct it. That said, the idea of the pose is still successful, and that's what's important in gesture drawing. Of course, we want to spot our mistakes and know how to correct them in the future. But it's also a really positive sign when you do see your mistakes. That means you're changing the way that you're seeing things. Here, back bends demonstrate a strong squash and stretch, as seen in the midsection. Look at how small the midsection gets in the back. Looking at the shape her body is making, it kind of makes me think of a V. It also makes me think about cabaret, maybe some kind of cabaret performance, of course, yoga as well. We have some strong lines here. And the rib cage is pretty close to the legs. This could seem a little bit tricky because we have foreshortening happening in different areas. I'm thinking about the angle of her head is turned all the way to one side, so getting that correct. Looking at the arms. The arms are going to look a lot shorter because they're foreshortened. For this pose, I'm thinking in terms of 3D boxes. We see her sides and a little bit of her front. We don't have her neck at all here. So there I'm putting in the rib cage. Here's the head. There might be too much space in the midsection, so I'm going to lower that. Here we have the pelvis that's facing us, but the torso actually has a strong twist in it. And to properly really feel that twist in a drawing, we need to look at the direction, like what's going on in her shoulders. So getting the angle, that direction right. And really looking at that arm that's closest to where, well, closest, let's say the arm to my right, really looking at what's going on with that arm. And if I could make an adjustment to my drawing, I would fix the angle of her neck, how I drew her neck. It needs to go more towards, let's say, my left. Whereas here, it looks pretty straight, right? And again, you have to catch yourself when you make that mistake. But again, here, the idea of the pose, we see it and we understand it. What do you think the idea of this pose is? For me, it makes me think that she's fishing, she's reeling in a big fish, or maybe she's playing tug of war. We have a really strong sense of perspective and foreshortening to pay attention to. This is a nice big stretch that demonstrates really well that squash and stretch feeling. To give this effect when drawing, remember that the rib cage and pelvis angles are normally always counterbalancing each other. it looks like she's leaning on a counter, writing something, reviewing something. Pay attention here to the model's feet. Notice it's like there's a perspective, right? Because the foot that's farthest away from us is actually behind the foot closest to us. It's going back in space, and it also looks smaller from where we're viewing this. And so when we're drawing feet, particularly when we notice a pose like this, we want to make sure that both feet are not accidentally on the same line, if you will, invisible line. One is behind the other, and that's going to give you a sense of depth. Last one. Here we have a strong back bend. You can imagine dropping down a plumb line, perhaps right at the center, and observe the position of where the hips are, let's say in front of the plumb line, so really pushed forward, versus where the midsection and rib cage are, which are going way back. We really want to pay attention to those strong angles.